And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here for the Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts, and on radio stations worldwide, including our latest episode, which I dropped earlier today, regarding the big announcements of not E3, should be E3. I wish it was E3, but unfortunately it's not E3. The big week in video games, we went ahead, the guys right there of the Super BS Gamescast, they covered it for you, including the best and most impressive handheld that could be coming out on the market by Xbox. So we'll go ahead and catch that on the latest PC Multiverse. That's on the Pop Culture Cosmos channel, wherever you get your podcasts. Legend's here. Go ahead and catch Legend on I Got Next Sports Media on YouTube. Like and subscribe. And speaking of liking and subscribing, please like and subscribe to all the great people, all the great places, all the great sites, YouTube channels, wherever, Twitter, whatever we go ahead and promote. Please help us out by liking and subscribing to go ahead and be part of the action each and every time out right here on the Lakers Fast Break podcast. I Got Next Sports Media. Joe Soro, who was on last night for about 2 hours almost, talking about the Dodgers and a little bit of Lakers as well. He is on the Joe Soro experiment right there for you. Go ahead and like and subscribe as well. Empire Jeff TV covering the Lakers and the Dodgers. A lot of Dodgers talk right now with them in the midst of the June, July, summer months as far as those baseball races starting to heat up. So go ahead and check out what those guys have to say. Our good friends at Lakerholics.com. Remember, we dedicated an episode to Laker Tom and his trades, whether we thought they were good or bad. Well, go ahead. He's got more. So go ahead and check out what he's doing at Laker Tom on Twitter and Lakerholics.com. And next week is a big week. Not only the end of the NBA Finals, I think next three games. Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah, okay, yeah. So, yep, should be by the end of next week. Plus, of course, Stone Hansen at report_court and the Upside Swings NBA Draft Podcast. We'll be back here next week, not only for a show dedicated to the NBA Draft, we will bring back the Lakers Fast Break NBA Mock Draft on Saturday, right? That's next Saturday, not this Saturday. A week from Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, and I was told that a certain legend will be there to go ahead and be a part of that as well. Always good fun when we have those mock drafts or mock trade deadlines and all that good stuff. I remember Legend and Laker Tom. Actually, I was very impressed by Laker Tom when he did that one time, and he was wheeling and dealing and all. It was really, really cool to see. So definitely looking forward to going ahead and having another great NBA mock draft a week from Saturday right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Well, Game 4 of the NBA Finals, and what was said was the fact that if OKC was going to win, it was going to put the pressure back on Indiana and swing the momentum. It would bring back the momentum back into the favor of OKC. But if Indiana won, man, it would make a lot of people nervous as far as in OKC. But of course, but to SGA and a big fourth quarter surge, it's, the tables turned. For most of the playoffs, for all of the playoffs, Indiana, every close game, they seemingly got all the right bounces, made all the right moves, took all the right shots, and closed out any game that they were, slightly or even double digits behind it. If they were within range, they pretty much got the job done. Not today. They have the lead in the fourth quarter, going into the fourth quarter, and unfortunately, they were the team that, if you were a little bit like Tyrese Halliburton, getting a little bit in the throat there, because the Indiana Pacers didn't execute well down the stretch. Mistakes, fouls, off, not even in the ball hasn't even been inbounded twice. Matthew made some silly fouls. Also, as well, just really a lot of mistakes, free throws missed, turnovers, missing shots that they normally would hit. And down the stretch, the Oklahoma City Thunder were the ones that hit in the clutch. And it was SGA making it the most of this performance with 35, 10 of 10 from the free throw line. Jalen Williams, 11 of 11 from the free throw line, 27 points for him, 20 points for Alex Caruso. Oh, by the way, how are you doing, Rob Palenka? Yeah, that's so great. Hope you had the nice drive home thinking about you prioritizing THT over Alex Caruso as he hit for 20 points today. Seemingly in the clutch when they need it the most. And OKC pulls out the victory and ties the series up 111 to 104. And here today to go ahead and talk about today's game and also as well the subject matter in which a certain individual Hall of Famer to be is now very close to being traded. We'll go ahead and talk about that. And will this be a chain effect for other teams, other players, other trades to be done this summer? We'll go ahead and talk about that. But it is, of course, Legend from I Got Next Sports Media. Legend, great to have you here. Again, I know that a lot of people have not been watching this finals. I mean, the finals down ratings-wise, some say 30% off previous rating, previous finals within recent years. The thing is, the basketball, for the most part, has been very good to watch. This game, particularly, for much of it, was nobody really, distanced themselves. I think the largest lead at one point in time was like 12.
Yeah, about 12-ish, 13-ish, something like that.
12, 13. So this was a really good game to watch. And you know what? It doesn't matter if you're not rooting for a certain team. I'm not rooting for either team. I said that to Lakers Zach during our playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. But these are some good games that they're playing. They're going all out on the defensive end, both these teams. But today it was all about who could execute in the clutch, and something that Indiana normally does, Oklahoma City did today. I know that Nick put a poll up as far as during the game as who's going to win, and I noticed that people that did voted, everybody except for one person voted for Indiana because we just assumed that Indiana was going to go ahead and win it in the clutch. There was just one person that voted for OKC, and that was me. And my reasoning was that at some point in time, the odds say as long as you play in so many close games, at one point your luck will run out.
Exactly, and I actually agreed too. I looked at a lot of other YouTubers and just check to see what people was thinking, and I saw a lot of people was picking Pacers to close it out. And about like you, Gerald, I think I might be one of the very few. I was like, no, I think Oklahoma's gonna win this because, like you said, you're not gonna keep doing that over and over and over. Eventually, the magic in the bottle is gonna run out, and it means tonight ran out of gas. There was no magic this time.
No,
Um,
no.
I,
That
I
and
knew that.
Scott Foster was playing pretty good defense against the
Yeah.
Pacers at the times as well. He's always the showman, as I telling JY, because he's asking about Scott Foster. And I'm like, Chris Paul wasn't out there today.
Hey,
So I don't know he's always out there. It's always exaggerated. There were a lot of legit fouls. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, I mean, at some point, you got to let these guys play a little bit more, Legend.
Adam Silver wrote that check. Told him, make sure we can get a little longer series.
I mean, Scott Foster, he just has to go ahead and put his mug right in the middle of the TV set, right there, Legend. Always, always. Just can't help
He
it.
said he got to be on the biggest stage. He got to be there.
He's got to be all the time. You knew when his name was called as one of the refs, you knew he would be sticking his nose in there. And whether you're an OKC fan or an Indiana fan, it's just like, okay, whatever calls you're making, because there was no one call I thought that was like going to change the decide because face it, Indiana made some pretty dumb maneuvers.
They did.
Matherin, two uh, fouls, and the ball hadn't inbounded. They were legit. They were legit grabbing a guy's wrist, holding onto a guy's wrist, or bumping him before the ball's in. That's just stupid. That is just stupid. But Scott Foster, he has to interject himself on several occasions, just like, his exaggerated emotions and movements and all that stuff. It's just, we want to watch the game, Legend. We don't want to watch Scott Foster.
Exactly, and I kind of agree. Some of them calls was like, let the guys play. This is the NBA Finals. Everything's on the line. Let them play it out. Let them decide how the game gonna finish.
There were some ticky-tack fouls. A little yeah, I think so. I agree, Legend. But again, it's about executing down the stretch. And yes, I know the Thunder took 38 free throws on the road, JY. But Indiana, again, it's just like with those other teams, the New Yorks, the OKCs, the other teams that left the door open for Indiana in the fourth quarter for all those times that they came back, Legend. Well, they just did the same thing, the same exact thing. They left the door open for OKC to take advantage of it. And for once, they executed very well down the stretch. It's not an accident what they're doing, or it's not disguised what they're doing. It's either Jalen Williams or SGA. They don't have many options to go ahead and go, ISO penetrate with anybody else. It's just one of those two guys, and seemingly down the stretch, those two guys got the job done, Legend.
Yeah, exactly. They took care of business, got it done, and I'm going to be honest. Indiana, you should have won this game. You really should have. You should have been up 3-1. You should have been up 3-1, and you should have been probably go to Oklahoma, lose game 5, come back game 6, wrap it up, call the series. And now this is looking like a potential game 7. And truth be told, if I'm Oklahoma, I don't know if I trust them going to game 7 in the finals. They better close out in 6.
So let me ask you this. Has that fourth quarter changed the landscape of the entire series? Because Indiana was going into that fourth quarter with a little bit of confidence. In fact, a lot of confidence. They had looked good for most of the game. I know OKC was still just hanging around. What we all say about Indiana, they were just hanging around until they could go ahead and strike. But Indiana had a lot of confidence going into the fourth quarter. The crowd was behind them. The crowd was loud. And it just looked like everything was going to go. They just needed a decent quarter to execute in that fourth quarter. And they would really put for the proverbial chokehold, put a proverbial chokehold on the series, and they let it slip away. And let me ask you this: with this fourth quarter, is that to their undoing? Is this fourth quarter going to decide the rest of the NBA Finals?
I get the feeling this game might have decided how this final is going to wrap out, because I feel like Oklahoma just now gained that confidence that, okay, we can beat these guys. We got a shot. This series is not over. And what makes it even better for them, I'm going home now. Now they got a chance to really take command and go up 3-2. I think for Indiana, why they may be in trouble at this point, this was your opportunity to put a strangle on this series and pretty much put all the doubt in Oklahoma. With them being young too, you got them right where you want them. But now that you gave them all that confidence, then you going back home, you done messed up. You gave them a bunch of life, confidence. Now if I'm Indiana, I'm worried, like, well, what are our chances of winning another game in Oklahoma at this point? Now you may have to force a game 7.
Yep. And JY, I know that Laker Tom has had a man crush on Miles Turner for years. Yeah. I mean, seriously, if you've been watching the show for a while, it has been years he's wanted Miles Turner on the team. He's been, 2 years ago, he was the source of every trade that Laker Tom made up, was getting him and Buddy Hield on this team. And then even last year it was as well. This year is kind of quieted down, but I think he just figured that with the Indiana Pacers in the finals, they were going to just automatically go and re-sign Miles Turner. But his performance Spotty. I will say spotty. At times, defensively, he's been blocking the shots, but again, he's not a great rebounder, so that's a detriment to him there. But his 3-point shooting, his ability to stretch the floor normally is what gets you to the promised land. But today, 3 of 10, 0 of 6 from 3-point shooting. He was 6 of 6 from the line, but today he did not give for his 12 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. It really wasn't much of an impact. So for me, it could bring back the rumors or bring back the mock trades for Laker Tom, because simply said, with a performance like this, Indiana may not want to resign him, Legend.
Yeah, I've been watching how Miles been playing in this series, and I was like, I don't know if they really want to bring him back since he kind of been, like you said, spotty. So I'm thinking he might be out there on the market for somebody to try to go after. So I guess we're gonna see how the rest of the finals play out. Maybe they win the championship, they might change their mind. But I think if they lose, they're gonna probably look to make some changes.
Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. I'm on with Legend from I Got Next Sports Media. Please like and subscribe. Appreciate all the work that he does. Plus the fact you're going to get to see him a lot more here in the next couple of weeks, because he's going to be part of our NBA draft coverage, our mock draft, and then also anytime he wants to stop on by. But he also has some great stuff in the world of sports and video games happening right there at I Got Next Sports Media. And video games in the month of June, a lot of announcements have been made, so I'm sure you got to go ahead and stop on by I Got Next Sports Media and check out what Legend has to say there. But my friend, it is again tied, heading back to OKC. In essence, how should I say this? For a lot of people out there said that OKC kind of choked game one, tit for tat, because you now have Indiana kind of choking their way out of game 4. So now it comes down to a 3-game series. And you said you do not trust OKC in a game 7 because and to be honest, I'm not rooting for either side, because people have been asking me, my own mom, my own 91-year-old mom called me and said, who are you rooting for? And I said, I root for the Lakers. I don't root for anyone else. I just want to see good basketball. I'm going to tell you, Legend, I got a little secret for you guys out there. I may be rooting for a game 7 down to 5 seconds left, and in the ball, Indiana maybe down by 2 in the hands of Halliburton. I kind of would like to see him go and win the championship with a choke.
Man, that gonna hurt right there.
Just for the visual. Just for the visual. Either OKC by 20 or Indiana at the buzzer. I just would love to see that. I'm just sorry. I love the theatrics. Halliburton, for whatever you say, if you think he's good, you think he's very good. If you think he's great, I love the confidence. I love the theatrics. I love it when he did that in New York. And again, that's what I'm kind of rooting for. But you said in game 7, you do not trust OKC. So in your opinion, the urgency to win is now, and the urgency to win the next 2 straight, including one in Indiana, is no more apparent than right now.
Because I worry about that youth kicking into play. Because we saw a lot of that in a lot of the games they lost. And I worry the fact that going into game 7, there's going to be a whole different game 7 pressure versus what they felt against Denver in the semifinals. It's the biggest stage of all of basketball. Everybody's watching game 7. Everything's on the line. Trophy over there on the side. You can probably see it. I feel like all that pressure is just going to start to add up. And I worry when they start getting down by like 10 or maybe even 15 points in the third or fourth quarter, they're going to really panic. Maybe even before that halftime starts to panic, knowing that there's no more games after this. It's now or never. And that's what I kind of worry with a team that young, which is why I was thinking maybe best thing to probably do is close it out in 6 and avoid that 7. But the way this series been flowing, it's looking like this might go to game 7, which we haven't had a game 7 in a long time in the finals.
And again, that's what I'm kind of as a basketball fan. That's what I'm rooting for. And either, like I said, OKC just blowing them out early and just getting it over with, or down to 2, 5 seconds left in Halliburton's hands.
Yep, if
And
it
I
goes
want to
down
see
to
what
two,
happens. Yeah,
if it go
exactly.
down to a few seconds, Indiana got it.
Because if he misses,
Ooh.
I know one of the OKC players, I'm going to say Dort, will probably go like this to him as well. So, again, if it goes down late, I would almost, if I could bet it here in Vegas, I would. And sorry, all apologies to Sharon, because I know we were talking at length about sports betting, but I would bet on a choke sign being given out if there's less than 5 seconds left. So that's what I would bet on. I would love to see it from
As a
either
basketball
OKC
fan,
or
me too.
Indiana.
It'd be
Exactly.
good for the NBA.
Yes, and this series hasn't been bad as far as for the NBA as far as the product, but the problem is the two small market teams involved. And I know I've spoke to Joe. Joe and I have talked about this. It really kind of comes down to is again, people want to see casual fans want to see larger market teams or larger market stars play basketball. Halliburton, for all the theatrics, Halliburton is still not a transcendent player as far as all across the world on a global platform, even in the United States. For all the fantastic play that SGA has and has made, he is not a transcendent global star by any stretch of the imagination because these guys are just not getting or drawing the numbers. No matter how good these games are, Legend, it is just not to the casual fans something that they want to watch. Is this a problem for the league going forward, or do you think with the new contract coming up, the fact that the NBA is going to be on NBC, it's going to be on Amazon, it's going to be on still on ESPN, ABC, all that stuff. The only one who's out in the cold on this is TNT. Do you see this as a problem as the media or the sport goes into a new phase next season?
I do think it could become a problem if they don't start promoting these smaller markets and what more so these younger stars because LeBron and Steph, KD, they're going out the door. They ain't going to be here much longer. And the part the NBA need to worry about is when those guys leave, your rating gonna probably drop like a rock when they leave because the world doesn't really care about SGA. They good and all that, but it's like you said, Gerald, they're not out there. They're not household names to a lot of people. If I were to go to Athens, Georgia, and ask a bunch of people, everybody know LeBron James? Everybody probably do. If I would have asked them, do you know who SGA is? Probably, maybe a few people might say I know of him.
Yeah.
So, probably gonna say I don't know who that is.
It's about the face of the league. And Joe, I give him credit for saying this. He is still LeBron. However, he has his opinions on LeBron, and most of you guys have. Everybody seems to have an opinion on LeBron. He is still the face of the league. Luka Doncic, if he plays at an MVP like level, could become the face of the league. Steph Curry is still a face of this league. And then Kevin Durant, well, we're going to be talking about him in a minute. I don't know whether you put him. I think he was once one of the faces of this league.
I
I
say
don't
once.
think. I think his career, even though it is still numbers wise been very good, it's still his lack of top tier success in recent years since his leaving Golden State, I think has dropped his status a little bit as far as as prominence is concerned. But he's an all-time great, one of the greatest players of all time. Never doubt that. I'm not going to say that, and at all. Greatest shooters of all time, as far as a big guy. You could put him all any category you want to go ahead and put him on. But as a face of the league, he may not be anymore. But we'll get to Kevin Durant in a second. I see Luka Doncic, if he has an MVP like year, just reemerging as a face of the league. Who else, if SGA and Halliburton don't do it for you, who else could become a face of this league? I mean, outside of Victor Wembanyama, who could, really become a face of this league just by his sheer numbers, for me, it's going to be hard to tell exactly who will stand out in future years.
Only the other person I can think of who a lot of people actually really do like already. He just got to start winning, get to the finals. Be Ant Edwards. He'll be a perfect model. He athletic, charisma, household name. People love his swag off the court. He'd be perfect to be another face of the league and all that. I feel like with SJ and them, they just got to get more out there. And it's like Joe said, LeBron is still LeBron. He's still a household name,
Yeah.
and that's just the biggest thing all about it. He don't have to be in the finals, and you can tell when he's not there. When just like when I feel like when the Lakers lost in the playoffs, the reason why it dipped off so much is because casuals know LeBron James. Casuals doesn't really too much care about SGA or Halliburton or Donovan Mitchell. That they're stars, but it's not household name, and definitely not face of the league. And I think that's what the NBA has to do is try to promote these younger stars so they can at least become household name to people. People recognize who they are in these small markets.
I agree with you, JY. Neither one of these teams are box office, and the only ones are watching friends, family, gamblers, podcasters. It's a little bit more than that. There's still millions of people watching, but it's not the millions that I think that the league is trying to put a spin on. But unfortunately, it's not the case primarily. So I can't say that the league is totally happy with the kind of response that they got. But yeah, don't get me started on the gamblers, JY, because again, as we I talked about with Sharon, she had some great points in her comments from our previous show. It was great to communicate with her on her thoughts about gambling and her, how it impacts our world and the world of sports. It was just great to hear her thoughts on that. Mission 24. I watched again. He's asking for Netflix and HBO Max because he doesn't seem interested in the no Lakers, no not watching the finals. I can't blame you. Yeah, there's no
I
Knicks.
mean,
They don't
I
want to watch
understand
the
that too.
finals. There's no Celtics. They don't want to watch the finals in Boston. No Lakers, so they want to watch the finals in LA. So yeah, I get you. That Titan documentary about the sub that blew up near the Titanic about what was it, about 2023. Very revealing documentary on that. I watched that last night. It's really good. Yeah, M24. If you get a chance, check it out. There was a lot there I didn't know about the uh, I guess negligence that was put in there as far as the company involved. So allegedly. So yeah, so that's my suggestion right now. I think we're in a holding pattern. Now the summer movies are out. I know a lot of people are going to see How to Train Your Dragon this weekend. A lot of people in
Karate
the video
Kid.
game world are excited, like Legend and I are excited about all the announcements that were made this past week. And then I'm waiting for next month when Superman, which I already got my tickets. It's the first time I've ever said that about a DC because I'm not a DC guy, but my
Oh yeah,
my
I forgot
daughter
about that coming out.
daughters really wanted to go see Superman. So yeah, they just got really good vibes about it with the James Gunn involvement. So yeah, it's going to do that. And then Fantastic Four on if it will save. I don't want to say save is lack of a better word, but if it will bring a much needed boost to Marvel, which if it doesn't, then there's going to be some serious problems
Hopefully.
because Doomsday is now over a
Yeah.
year away. But once again, it is the Lakers fast break. The Lakers, unfortunately, are they're fishing right now, such as Legends teams, Golden State
Yep.
Warriors, and the Atlanta Hawks. But I
Catching
wanted
them
to ask
bass.
you this: I wanted to get to the justification, the juxtapose of our show, the title of our show in regards to Kevin Durant. Not necessarily the Kevin Durant trade per se, but what dominoes could fall as far as trades after that, and including the Lakers, for instance, on that. The latest words from Shams Charania and most insiders have said that, and we reported this on our show on Wednesday, that Kevin Durant and his uh, his representative have been going over and mulling the trade destinations. And first of all, I'm like, who's trading him? Is Kevin Durant trading himself, or is Phoenix Suns trading him?
Sound like
I
trading his
understand
shit.
that. Well, I understand it's a lot of respect. Okay, and I get that. I get that. And he's a Hall of Famer, and you should have his respect on trading him. But at some point, you got to say, the team has got to start figuring out what it needs to do for themselves. Just like in Milwaukee, if Giannis says, "I want to be traded," and I have a specific team, so I want to be traded to, or a specific team, they're probably going to go ahead and say, "You know what? We're going to go with you." But if it was Milwaukee actually wanting to do the right move for their franchise, they would take the best offer wherever it comes from. Same thing with Phoenix, which I don't think they'll ultimately end up doing. But let's get to Kevin Durant first. I think if OKC loses the series, there might be renewed interest in a player like Giannis or Kevin Durant. I heard that the deal could be done in a matter of days. If I was Phoenix, or if I was Milwaukee and I have something on the table already from one of these teams, I think I'd wait until the finals are done for sure, before I ultimately make that move. Because again, the team that has the most assets
Mm-hmm.
is the team right now that's tied 2-2 heading back to OKC.
I totally agree. If I was any team, whether it's Milwaukee or the Suns, before I agree to anything, watch how this series play out first. Because if Oklahoma falls, I really get the feeling they will be open for a Kevin Durant reunion. And
That's
you'll
where
get
I'd start. I'd get
that's
a
what
third.
best parts.
Yeah.
I think that'll be the best championship that he can win right there. Out of all the rings he won with the Warriors, that'd be the best one right there.
I'd start with a Hartenstein, Case and Wallace package. You just sprinkle in a couple other things in there, and then you throw. You've got like 500 picks, so you pick the
Yep.
picks that you want. Case and Wallace has kind of struggled in this finals. I think offensively he has a lot of issues, and his defense um, is not quite Dort Caruso level. It's good, and he's pretty good as far as on the ball, as far as with his steals and whatnot. But he has not defended at the highest level I've seen him play at before, which is again something I think. And his offense, he has been struggling, especially when he takes the ball to the basket. I thought he was a better finisher than that. So far, this playoffs, this finals, he hasn't done as well as I likes. But again, if that's only if OKC loses, because if they win, most likely they're not going to do much to tweak, just those small tweaks here and there. But I don't see much coming from OKC. But if OKC loses, then I think they need to go ahead and evaluate something different. But let's go back to KD. Right now, what you see on the table, New York swears they're not involved, but okay, I'll believe it when I say it, believe it when I see it. And then you have Miami. They're a leading contender. The Spurs, the Rockets. There are others out there, other teams that might be interested as well. Maybe an unknown player that we don't even know about as of yet. Where do you see Kevin Durant as probably the best fit right now in all of this? Because again, 37 years old, he can still score at a very high level, still shoots at a very high level, can get you some rebounding, can play still defense at times. I think if you had him right now in the finals, he would probably up his level of defense to the point where, it'd be at a pretty good level. One of the remarkable things I've said on this show is I've seen him as a teammate, as a player. He is an underrated passer. Nobody will ever remember his passing except for me, because I've seen him make some tremendous passes by myself. But then again, you have to look hard to see him do that, because he doesn't do it very much. Your thoughts on Kevin Durant and DBSH, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Like and subscribe to him. Yo! Also, as well, go ahead and check out his 2K streams. But Legend, your thoughts on the best fit for Kevin Durant, in your opinion?
Well, I can definitely say in the middle of the game today, I think they said it narrowed down to like 3 teams, which was the Heat, T-Wolves, and Rockets. And if that is really the truth, out of all those 3 teams, I really want to say I think the Heat would not be the best choice, because he would need to be the man, and I don't think at this point he shouldn't be the man at this point. So I think the best team for him,
You're
I
awesome.
would probably say the Timberwolves since they have been doing the best amongst all three. So I would say the T Wolves might be the best option, but also I really like it. I really like that Emidoka's system because Emidoka's such a good coach, and I really think that's not a bad deal to go to Houston either.
But you say Minnesota, and I know that's been brought up because Ant-Man is just, it's my favorite player. It's my idol. My idol. Yes, that's great. And actually would be a good fit as a number 1A, number 2,
Yeah,
somebody who can get you in bunches if they're double teaming Ant, getting him on the wing, hitting some shots, that could be priceless. But with their expected issues trying to retain Nas
right.
Reed, or do you let Nas Reed go? Julius Randle, as Brian Green said, would tell you, you got to keep him at all costs because, Brian Green is a super fan of Julius Randle, who played very well for the most part in this playoffs. So I don't want to give him any slack on that. And then also as well, Nikhil Alexander Walker. Most people see him leaving. So your thoughts? How do you get this trade done? What assets can you give?
I think for the Suns, they're gonna have to give up some of that depth, and like you said, Julius Randle, you don't lose him. The rest of
Mhm.
them probably the ones I'll be willing to let go, like DiVincenzo or maybe Nas Reed, any one of them, Nikhil Alexander, any one of them. Them probably the pieces you're gonna probably have to move. I'm not for sure they got what they draft. They draft picks. I can't remember what they have for draft picks
Well,
wise.
Dillingham and Shannon. Shannon, it was funny because at the beginning of the season, Dillingham looked like he was going to play. He was going to play some really good contributing minutes. It looked like for a while he was going to eat into Mike Conley's minutes, and it didn't turn out that way at all. Of course, what happened here with the Lakers with our first round pick, and unfortunately, not being able to go ahead and what was at the beginning of the season didn't ultimately happen at the end of the season. So I ask you, with the trade scenarios, Dillingham, that's your young point guard, supposedly still, even again, he's still got to get some time. But Terrence Shannon was the one that got some minutes in the playoffs. So maybe you look towards him. I don't know. I just don't know if Minnesota has enough assets to get the job done. But Tim Connelly, one of the best GMs in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know his status either. Is he still a free agent at the end of the season? Is he still going to be on the team going forward? Who knows what's going on in Minnesota, especially with this new ownership change? Will they be still spending that money?
That is true, and which is why I would probably say the Suns. I think the Wolves probably been best for KD, but probably the Houston Rocket probably the best deal to go to. They got nice young pieces. That'd be good for them. They get some youth back, get a couple of draft picks. You still gonna have Shogun. Probably trade Jalen. That might probably be a person I would let go just because of the inconsistencies. So that'd be a good
I, I
swap
think
with him and Kevin Durant.
I think Houston, for me, is still the leading candidate because they also have the Phoenix draft picks as well.
Yep, they get
So
their
they
picks
can
back.
literally. So you and I made a trade, let's say, and I was desperate to get some player, and I gave you draft picks, and then later on the line, it's just like, oh, okay, you want another one of my players, Gerald? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
could trade for it. What's it? I happen to have legend. You would say I would happen to have your draft picks. I could just get back. So it's not like you're losing draft picks at
Right.
all if you're Houston. So that's the best part about this. And his price, as far as in a trade, would not be as expensive as Giannis Antetokounmpo. So that's
Right.
something to consider as well. Giannis Antetokounmpo, if he said tomorrow, I want to go out into the open market, or I want to go out and get it, I want to be traded because the short and long term future for the Milwaukee Bucks does not look very healthy. That's going to be a bidding war, and that's going to be a lot on the table as far as what you need to do to get it done. So we'll see what happens there. But the reason why I wanted to go ahead and preface this because I believe Kevin Durant trade will be one of the first, if not the first move made at the end by the end of the season,
I
or
do
right
too.
after the end of the season, or
That's the
during
first
the draft.
domino.
Yeah, before I think that trade will be done before the NBA fiscal year starts, I believe, which is on July 1st. So if that's the case, and they use what the existing monies that are available now to each team as far as what they're doing, then it might look really advantageous to go ahead and do so now rather than later. But yeah, I think that will be the first trade in what could be a really big summer trades. And this is what I've been saying now for weeks, is that I think because of the fact that Brooklyn is the only team out there with cap space, there's going to be a lot of teams out there trying to make trades because they see Indiana and OKC are as beatable teams. I don't think any one of these top teams, the top 10, 12, 15 teams in the NBA, don't see Indiana or OKC as a perfect beatable, unbeatable team. However good you think OKC's defense is, you've seen Indiana at times tear them up, and vice versa. However you think Indiana is good as far as their pace and space type deal, you see flaws in their game as well. So you're going to have a lot of teams thinking that they have a chance with the right moves this summer, making that move towards as far as being a top team next season, because they could think every one of those teams, 10, 15, possibly even up to 20 teams in the league, could think with the right moves, they could be here in the finals next year.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's why I think a lot of teams probably looking at that right now. That we can, Oklahoma is not unbeatable, or Indiana is not unbeatable. This ain't like the KD and Steph Warriors will basically almost pretty much know what's gonna happen. So ain't nothing like that situation. So a lot of teams are definitely looking at it as make a couple of tweaks. We probably in the finals next year. So that's why I think, like you said, Jerry, I think that KD is gonna be the first domino to really begin the entire free agency. They're gonna be the first big kaboom, and then everything else gonna start falling through. And I think when KD happens, we probably hear what's gonna happen with Giannis, and then everybody else gonna start moving around. But I feel like the league is gonna wait to see where do Kevin Durant go first.
That's true. Where will he go first? That might be the first most likely domino to fall. Maybe there might be some transactions done sooner in regards to draft picks, somebody trying to move up in the draft, somebody trying to move down in the draft based on their perception, things of that nature. That those kind of transactions always seem to happen right in and right around the draft, and we'll see what happens there. But the first big name to drop as far as in a trade, it could be Kevin Durant. And again, there are going to be a lot of teams out there, I think, in order to move, in order to improve their team, in order to try and fix their flaws, the way that they're going to have to do it is through trades, because most of these higher teams do not have an abundance of draft picks. The Golden State Warriors, they have what, two, possibly they're going to get three at the beginning of the fiscal year. They're going to get another one as far as a first round pick upcoming, so they can have the possibility of trying to move that. Plus, they've got some contracts. Atlanta as well, but they've got a new front office personnel that they've got in there, so they can make some decisions what direction they want to move in. Your thoughts after the Kevin Durant domino falls, since we don't know really what the status is yet of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Where will the shoe drop next? Where will the dominoes fall next as far as which teams could be really active in the trading market?
So I think after the Kevin Durant and Antetokounmpo, once they whatever happened with those two end up happening, that's when you probably start seeing like the Lakers making their moves of probably finding their center. I think that's the first thing the Lakers are probably going to do, get their center, and you start seeing like the Warriors start finding the pieces that they need, and that's when all the other little markets are gonna start making their moves, and we probably end up seeing what's gonna happen with people like Nas Reed, what they're gonna end up going to, and maybe see what happened with Ket. I know we've been hearing a lot of whispers about Ket wise in New York, and I think really that's when everybody's gonna start moving around the most.
Okay, I hear you, because again, as it gets closer to that July 1st start of free agency, again, it's going to be a lot of there's going to be a time period where a certain amount of individuals are going to get contracts either re-signed, extensioned, or just outright, just not being able to go ahead and get the deal they want because there is, again, only one team out there with cap space. And Brooklyn, if they are not interested 100%, if they're not fully bought into one of your guys in Golden State, Kaminga, or if they're not fully bought into other players that are out there available, Quentin Grimes out there, or another young player out there, they could go ahead and become a facilitator. They could become a dumping ground if you throw them a bone their way, like a first round, second, first round, or they could throw a whole bunch of picks or young players if you're going to give them a bad contract. So they could be a key in all this as well, Legend. I mean, we're all just assuming that come July 1st, they're going to offer Kaminga 20 to 25 million. And then there you go. That's their cap space right there in a nutshell. I not 100% sure that Kaminga is going to be the apple of their eye. I have a feeling that they, even though they have four first round draft picks this year, I think they'll be looking for something else come July 1st, or even sooner, to facilitate trades to get more assets because that team needs a whole lot of help.
Yep, I totally agree. I think they're going to end up start making the moves that they need because they do need some help right now. And that's when I think you'll start seeing the Lakers make their move with Austin Reeves. I know a lot of people have been mentioning Austin Reeves a lot. And see what happened with Austin Reeves, what they'll trade them or pay him up, what they decide to do in-wise. And I think the biggest thing, the most interesting thing that's going to probably come out of free agency, even though I know it's not related to player-wise, I'm curious to see what would the Knicks do about their coaching situation since they were trying to hire coaches that's employed for some reason. But we'll see what happens with that part.
I know that a lot of people here and a lot of individuals out there, Laker fans, do not want to connect as a part of trades. And M24.
Ooh, I'm shocked at that one.
Yeah, M24. I mean, said himself, we need to keep Connect. I love Connect just as much as you guys. I've been singing his praises now for a long time, but I see weaknesses and flaws that I don't know at this point in time, at the age of 24, whatever, how old are, because he's a 5-year player, 23, 24, if he's ever going to get those fixed. His lack of toughness and his defensive, lack of awareness, for lack of a better term. He's just terrible on defense. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
He was absolutely terrible on defensive end, and his lack of toughness really concerned me. And I love his shot, his beautiful shot. Should have been given a more opportunity to play. 100% agree with you guys during the playoffs. 100% agree. But I'm not sure. I'm not 100% on the we need to keep Connect. Because again, is he going to develop into the player we think he might be? Is he going to be that player that got 32, 35 points during the course of the season? Or will his lack of toughness and the fact that he has just been so bad defensively work so much against him? I just don't know, because right now, if he was 20, I would say keep him because of what, there's still so much there to develop in those 5 years. But if he's 25, 24, 25, and he's already still like this, that has me greatly concerned. And obviously the Lakers are concerned as well because they already utilized him in one trade, which they rescinded. There's a possibility that him being one of the few desirable assets that the Lakers have, it could be a possibility that he could be on the move again.
Yeah, I'm thinking for the Lakers to make some of the moves they need to make, I feel like they're going to have to trade Dalton. Dalton ain't going to have to be mixed in there. I feel like it's going to be hard to keep Dalton if you want to make the moves to go get what you need. You need a big, need some better wings, need some defenders to kind of help cover on Luka's side of things. And I feel like you're going to have to put Dalton in there. And I feel like, too, that I don't know if you should bring him back after what happened when he originally got traded, came back. He looked like he kind of checked out a little bit, or it bothered him. He just didn't look the same as he was before all that happened. So I thought maybe some fresh air would be good for him to go somewhere else and start fresh, no pressure, no anything, just play ball.
It's just tough, M24. Again, it's if he was 20, I would say he's just a kid. He's got to learn life in the NBA. But he played a lot of years already in college, and it's just so tough to determine, is this who he is going forward? I hope not. I really want the kid to work out. I really want the kid to succeed. I really want the kid to be the guy, the scorer that I think he can be in this league. I know that Joe is dead set on keeping him. I am not, because again, I just don't know if he'll ever have that inner something. A
Right.
lot of players out there, you see, they have it or they don't. They have that desire to take it to the next level. They have the desire to go ahead and improve at certain areas of the game that they're not good at, or they just don't. And that's what I'm worried about M24. Like Legend said perfectly, when he came back from that trade, he could have used that as motivation to go ahead and stick his middle finger in the Lakers' face and Rob Pelinka's face and say, you know what, I'm going to hit a bunch of threes. I'm going to make you play me. I'm going to make you give me a ton of minutes, and I'm going to shove it in your face that you should have traded me. But he did. He just, like you said, he just kind of checked out. And then, of course, the way JJ played him, or lack thereof, it didn't help it didn't help at all. It didn't help the situation at all, especially for this kid who is still a rookie in this league. I understand it's like, okay, you got to go ahead and tell the guy, you know what, it's life in the NBA. Get over it. You're paid millions of dollars. You're going to have to deal with it. But sometimes, there are kids that just take this thing emotionally and
Yep.
never recover from it. So maybe a change of scenery might have to work for him. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping he'll work out here, but don't say that we need. I don't want to say I can't be with you guys when you say we need to keep him. We need to keep, as far as Austin Reeves, we need to keep Rui Hashimura. I'm not on these need to keep guys, because these need to keep guys, really, this team in and of itself, Legend, is not deep enough with quality players to get the job done to where the Lakers could go by the end of next season, Legend.
Yeah, they got to make some moves. It's just not deep enough, and we saw it in that series where it kind of looked to me almost Luka, LeBron. They showed up. Everybody else was kind of hit or miss. Austin Reeves disappeared, as he been kind of doing the last couple of playoffs, and Rui had some moments. DFS, yeah. Vanderbilt, yeah. It just you couldn't really rely on the bench. It kind of almost say I don't agree with JJ Redick for doing what he did in that game, but now I kind of understand why he just had nobody to go to. I mean, you got nobody you can really trust at this point. So I mean, you got to do something with that bench. You got to improve that depth. So I mean, you gotta let Dalton go if it comes to it. You gotta ask yourself, do I want to win or what? So I think you gotta do what you gotta do.
And the fact that Rui and Austin both could potentially be free agents next summer, which again cannot be understated, guys. When you talk about we need to keep Reeves or we need to keep Rui, there's a possibility, and it's actually more than a good possibility, that if you don't do anything, because first off, Austin's going to reject any contract
Yep.
extension proposal offered to him this summer, because he can make a lot more money if he doesn't, if he holds out to next season. He could just opt out of his player option and just become a free agent in the summer. And of course, Rui will be a free agent in the summer. So next summer, I should say. So if that's the case, that's going to be very pressing for the Lakers as far as what they need to do and how they can improve this team. But with the right things, just like for your teams, especially Golden State, the right moves, the right trades this offseason, which I think that's what has to happen, Legend, with Golden State, with the team like the Lakers, even a team like Atlanta, who might start seeing the crack of a door and the light open up a little bit after the not necessarily rise of Indiana Pacers, but the fall of the Boston Celtics and Jason Tatum see an opening on the eastern side as well. So again, I think there's going to be a lot of trades this summer, A, by necessity, and B, because there's a lot of teams thinking they could be in the finals next year, Legend.
Yep, I think so too. I think it's gonna be pretty much what Shams has said already. It's gonna be very active. Soon as these finals are over with, it's gonna be very active because I think this might be one of the good things about this parity situation with the NBA now. Everybody know they got a chance at this point now, and it's pretty obvious. So now I'm thinking everyone's gonna do everything they can to think I can be the next Indiana, come out of nowhere, I'm in the NBA finals, or be the next Oklahoma who's been favored the whole most of the season in the NBA Finals. So I'm expecting a lot of teams to make a lot of moves because I feel like Detroit's not that far off. Magic just needs some offense. T Wolves just need a little more firepower. Lakers just need a center, a little more role players. This is kind of like how everybody run the league. Just a little bit of something to make a difference. So I feel like everyone's going to really be active once the Kevin Durant domino all falls. If the party's going to really begin.
And you can see, like, and Jay was asking, or Jay was saying that, can we see, is it safe to judge on what the Lakers need by watching the finals? Can you get a
Yes.
better idea of what the Lakers need by watching the
Yeah.
finals? I say yes, I can in ways.
Yeah.
Defense, both these teams have done really good job at times defensively that are in the finals. Defense is obviously something the Lakers need to go ahead and be a little bit more aware of. Rebounding, the Lakers are one of the worst rebounding teams on both the offensive and defensive end. So obviously they need, and that was with AD, with or without AD, they were still really bad on the board. So they obviously need to find some solution there. I also mentioned athleticism and depth
Yep.
because the Lakers, they're not the oldest team out there, even with LeBron, but they do need some more athletic individuals. I mean, we're seeing with Obi Toppin, how he can change and dictate the game coming off the bench. Ben Shepherd, Benedict Mathurin for Indiana. And then on the Oklahoma City side, I mean, you see Wiggins. He was a number 55 pick, an actual number 55 pick that worked because Bronny hasn't, we don't know about Bronny yet. So, I mean, the depth that comes into play as you see OKC and Indiana, Legend, both of those teams tonight played 10 players. They gave
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Indiana played 9. Indiana played a flat 9, and OKC played 10. And in doing so, it just shows when you have players out there that you can bring in that you feel confident in giving you a contribution, it makes for me not just a easier to support and to go ahead and understand that this team can go places. It just, a depth of a team just gives you more chances to win, not only during the regular season, but we're now seeing it in the playoffs. Teams are struggling. The Lakers in that first round, they were exhausted because of, JJ running ragged because he had nowhere to turn to coming off the bench. We saw in New York with Tom Thibodeau how he just run his players ragged and only had really 7 guys to work with. When you have more options of players who can contribute, it just makes it a little bit easier for you to go ahead and find ways to get the win and get the job done when it matters the most.
I definitely agree, and we're seeing it right now in the NBA Finals. Depth is the biggest key role, and that's why I try to tell a lot of people, especially on Twitter, who all asking about more star power. I'm like, star power is important, but that's not it. And these two teams in the NBA Finals, they're showing it to you. They don't have that much star power. It's all about that depth. That depth to me is the biggest difference. It's a good thing when I can go look at my bench and be like 1, 2, 3, 4, hop in. I can trust you, and that's what you need right now. The depth, athleticism, rebounding, defense. That's what's gonna turn into a championship team, and that's what like the Warriors, the Lakers, a lot of teams are lacking right now, and that's what you really need the most. That's what I try to tell a lot of Laker fans I know in real life. Once you get that center, once you get that a little more better depth on that bench, you got what you need at this point. You got Luka, you got LeBron as second man, you got Austin Reeves third. You got what you need. You got a center, you got defense, you got a little bit of athleticism. You got pretty much everything you need at this point. Now, what you do with Reed's part, I guess it's up to them what you're going to do with Reed's part.
Now, if Trevor Lane out there, I see in the comments now, if Trevor Lane wants to put me on his show, I'll go ahead and I'll plug the Lakers Fast Break for an hour. I'd be glad to do that. And tell me you want to go for some real analysis, head on over to right here at the Lakers Fast Break or the Joe Soro channel, the Joe Soro Experiment, or what's coming up for Legend at I Got Next Sports Media. So, my friend, it's been a great hour in talking to you, but you've got to go ahead and do the cheap plug, man. What's going on at I Got Next Sports Media?
I know tomorrow, either tomorrow or Sunday, I'm gonna probably do my NBA Talk podcast. Gonna talk about Game 4, talk about the rest of this series and what my thoughts on how this series is gonna probably play out. We'll definitely talk about the Kevin Durant situation, as well as potential places maybe Giannis could end up moving to. And then lastly, if you like video games, feel free to check out my Legend 350 channel that you see me sometimes be using most of the time. I just streamed on Switch 2 last night, playing Mario Kart World, enjoying that game. Love the Switch 2, by the way. Recommend if you want to take that chance and buy it
I'm waiting for the Xbox, a real adult handheld, because JSJ, he likes playing like you. But sorry, everybody out there. These little kitty handhelds. Now play a real Windows 11, playing your Steam, playing your entire library from GOG, Steam, Xbox, your whole entire library on an Xbox Rogue Ally X that's coming out later this year. Now that's a handheld. I'm glad everybody's so happy with the Super Mario Kart World. Actually, I am. I'm happy that you guys are happy with it. 3.5 million sold in 4 days. I know JSJ is loving it absolutely, but yeah, I'm waiting for, my opinion, a much handheld that meets my needs, and not a handheld that I guess I would be frustrated with, and I think I would be frustrated with the Nintendo Switch too, because it just doesn't.
The grown man Switch.
I can't put my emulation on a Switch 2. So sorry. It's they would brick the Switch 2 before I could say Lakers Fast Break in a heartbeat. But go ahead and check out Legend today on I Got Next Sports Media. Also, as well, go ahead and check out all of our great places, including Stone Hansen coming next week. And Legend will be back for our NBA mock draft a week from tomorrow. So looking forward to having that once again. Stone asked for it. Said, "You guys going to do it?" I said, "NBA mock draft." I said, "Well, I can't. You're asking. We'll do it." So we're going to do it. Plus, he's going to stop by for a draft show. We'll also have another Lakers Fast Break, at least one more, if not two more Lakers Fast Break shows in between, in the interim, to go ahead and make sure you're covered for the NBA Finals as well. But Legend, any last thoughts, my friend, before we head on out?
I'll just say, everyone, if you ain't had a chance to watch that Xbox Showcase yet, go back and watch it. It was good. Go back and watch it. If you are a gamer, go back and watch it. You got that State of Play Summer Game Fest. You saw everything from everybody pretty much. Go back and watch it if you haven't watched it.
Absolutely. Some good watching. Even the Jeff Keighley Fest, although, and I miss going to E3. Just miss it. That again, the difference is I had this argument just after E3 stopped doing it, with gamers saying, "Oh, it's not a big deal because millions of people watch on the YouTube thing." It's like, you're missing the point. When E3 was around, E3, it gave news outlets from all around the world were covering it. It was going out to not just gamers like us. It was going out to the regular audience. People out there, the moms, the dads of the world, the people out there who don't normally care or watch anything relating to video games, they saw the stuff that was going on at E3. That's the difference. This is just when you put out those presentations, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, Summer Game Fest, it's just going to a targeted audience. And for later this year, when a lot of these games are coming out, it's always better to have more eyes know exactly what's going on. And again, E3 for me was it. Plus, E3 was just always a great experience,
Right.
except for the last day. Kind of got people there just wearing the same clothes for 3 straight days and kind of didn't shower, stuff like that. Kind of got a little stinky. But CES, you could say the same thing as well. Yeah, but first days of E3 are the best. I'll just say that. But need I digress on that? But it is, of course, legend from I Got Next Sports Media. Yes, always go. Word of advice: if you ever go to conventions, go on the first day and the second day.
Gotcha.
Last day, if you're there, only unless you're going to look for deals, because the vendors usually try to go ahead and cut their inventory, do some deals, go put out some sales on the last day. So if you're looking for that, there you go.
Gotcha.
Gerald, is the Pacers winning or losing better for the Lakers, man? It does nothing. It doesn't matter if the Pacers win, lose, tie, draw. Doesn't matter. The Lakers. What Rob Pelinka is going to be doing this summer. That's what's better. That's what's most important. Pig. Yes, I know your last name. Yes, I know you're trying to be funny. Yes, that's great. Yeah, we're all laughing. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is, of course, Gerald Glassford along with Legend. I Got Next Sports Media. Don't forget, Joe Soro had 2 hours on last night on his Joe Soro channel. Oh, almost 2 hours, where he talked about the Dodgers and what's going on there. He'll be out at Dodger Stadium this weekend. If you're interested, I think he had a stadium club level seat for sale. If somebody was interested, you can contact me at LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com, and I can put you in touch with him if you're interested. So you want to go see the game tomorrow? He's got a ticket for sale, so go ahead and hit me up if you're interested. But for Legend, I Got Next Sports Media, Miles Turner will leave. But Pig, again, we've talked about this before many times. Miles Turner leaves in free agency. He's going to ask about $30 million, which is something the Lakers don't have. They don't have $30 million to spend on free agents. They would have to either do a sign and trade and give Indiana a lot of assets, which would probably constitute, I don't know, maybe like a Rui, a Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber. They would have to do something like that because, again, Turner is going to ask for more than $30 million this summer. Whether he plays with Indiana this fall or whether he plays with somebody else, he's going to ask for some big money. So, yeah, he won't be joining the Lakers. Laker Tom has asked this for years, has made mock draft trades for years. It's just too much money for the Lakers to go ahead and get for a free agent, an unrestricted free agent, which is what he will be. Now, if they want to work out a sign and trade with Indiana, I mean, that's an option, but the Lakers would have to give a lot up in order to do so. And I'm just not sure Indiana would want to go ahead and do that for the guy that helped them get there. So I just don't see it working out for the Lakers trying to get them. Nick Claxton was mentioned earlier. I know that DBSH and others, Stone Hansen, really like Nick. I'm not a big fan of Nick because, again, it's not strong enough to handle some of the big players out there. Again, his lower body is pretty thin, to say the least, and he's terrible at free throws. He's off the court when you need him the most because he just can't shoot free throws. Remember, he owns the record for 0 for 10 in a playoff game. 0 for 10 in a free throw line, from the free throw line. Yeah. I know Clint Capella has been mentioned. Now, if you get him on the 5'6", Pig.
Not bad.
Oh, yeah. Rudy Gobert, I don't think you and I and Legend and all of our money put together can afford Rudy Gobert. If he goes, he probably goes in the Kevin Durant trade. That's one thing. When we talked about Minnesota, we failed to mention what asset are they going to get back. It would have to be Rudy Gobert because they have a near matching salary that would work because Rudy Gobert's pretty pricey right now. And the Lakers do not want to get into the second salary cap, the second that second tax line. Something they don't want to do. Yeah. But Clint Capella, he might be gettable. because he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. He'll be looking for deals. He won't be one of the first ones signed for as far as or first ones sought after. So I think he's going to probably get an MLE somewhere. That could be right there with the Lakers. Steven Adams, also someone, but he played well for Houston. I don't know if he'll go for just the 5-6 that the Lakers have. They probably need something more. Legend, do you know how much your MLE is at Golden State?
I can't remember. I forgot what it was.
I don't. If it's more than 5-6, Steven Adams. I think Steven Adams goes for about 10. It's what I'm assuming, 10 to 12, like what he has now, what he's making now. I think he is going to be sought after in the free agent market, and I think 5-6 will be. I don't know, 5.6 million is going to be a little low for him. So, with all that said, he is not here, Big, and he is not racist. So I don't know why you're going into that, but again, it is of course the Lakers Fast Break. If you want to go check him out, Pig, go ahead and check out his channel, Joe Soro channel on YouTube. So for Legend, I got Next Sports Media. It is Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. We will be back. I guess the next game is Monday. Why do you take the weekend off? It's just
I don't know why they did that.
Sunday, Father's Day, perfect day to go ahead and have the game on.
Everybody at home.
Yeah. So with that, again, it is of course the Lakers Fast Break. Join us. So we'll be back. With more good stuff. Next week's a big week. Next week is a big week with more talk on the draft, our NBA mock draft, and more coming right at you, right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.